Hello guys, this is Sanjay Shenoy from Team Digital Deepak, and in this video we'll be learning how to find really good images for your blog. I'm guessing by now you've done your keyword research, written content around it, came up with a few interesting titles for it and have decided on the title itself. Now you need to spruce up your content with a little bit of visual reinforcement, aka good images. So this video we'll be learning what are the different kind of image licensing you should be knowing of and where to find really good images for your blog post or for any other website for that matter. So let's just quickly dive into it and see how to do this. So before you go out there and look for images, there are a few things that you should be knowing about images and their licenses. This is very important so that you do not infringe on anybody's copyright of the images, and this is very important because as a photographer, that person might have spent a lot of time in getting the right image or creating the right image, and it is definitely not ethical and also not fair for you to use images which are copyrighted and which do not have the right license for you to use it on your blog or for that matter anywhere else. So in order to not infringe on anybody's copyright and get the right kind of images, you need to know the licenses, and I'll tell you all the licenses that there are one by one. So the first thing that you need to know is rights managed. A rights managed image, usually acronym to RM, basically means that a photographer will sell a particular image for a particular fee, and it will have certain restrictions or certain terms and conditions for it to be used. Like for example, the location where it can be used, the type of medium where it can be used, can it be used in print media, can it be used online, and how long it can be used, and everything for that matter. Also sometimes the users will go ahead and get exclusive rights for these photos. Even then, these kind of restrictions can apply for these images. This is usually done by big ad agencies or big corporates when they're printing out advertising collateral or something like that. And this is also done because when you use images that are being used by other people also, it does not look so great on the brand itself. So they try to get images which are exclusively meant for them, or even if it's non-exclusive, these kind of images have limited circulation. So one of the most famous websites for this is getty.com, and the images can be pretty expensive, and they're actually really expensive. And so this is also used by a lot of news agencies and agencies like the advertising agencies and marketing agencies. So this is the first kind of license that you should be knowing about, rights managed. The second thing is royalty free. This is something that you might have come across a lot of times while blogging, or you might have just like heard of this term. So a royalty free photo or an image is basically when you pay a one-time fee and you're free to use it however you want to, but the photographer is not limited to sell it to only you. He can sell it to anybody he wants to, and usually the price of these images depends on the resolution of the image itself. This is basically the kind of images where you see in stock websites like iStockphoto.com and websites like that. So stock images are usually royalty free, wherein it is meant to be used by multiple people, and this is what a lot of people use in their Facebook ads and Google ads or their print collateral and stuff like that. So a lot of people tend to like use the same kind of images over and over again, but it is usually much cheaper than a rights managed image, which is why a lot of people go for royalty free photos. So this is the second type of license that you should be knowing about. Then there is something called as public domain images. A public domain image is basically where the license of the image has expired, the copyright of the image has expired or has been forfeited by the photographer or the creator of the image itself. So it is available in the public domain, and anybody for that matter can like go ahead and use this photo without any kind of restriction. There are certain websites which kind of curate these kind of images for public use. But sometimes you might not find images which are oriented towards the Indian demographics. Regardless of that, I'm still going to share a few websites where you can get public domain images also. The last one is called Creative Commons. So a Creative Commons license is basically, to put very bluntly, freely usable images. It actually does not mean that you have the right over the image. The copyrights of the image still remains with the photographer himself, but he chooses to give you permission to reuse it and distribute it in a specified manner. Under Creative Commons itself, there are different kinds of licenses. Again, there are certain Creative Commons photos which are not allowed to be used for commercial purposes and only non-commercial purposes. Sometimes people will not be okay with you modifying an image. So things like this. So Creative Commons is basically a gap between, the bridge between rather, copyrighted images and free images. So here photographers are willing to share their work with you without anything in return, but you need to use it with your own discretion. So these are the 4 kinds of license that you should be knowing about. Most probably you will be commonly using the Creative Commons license, and also public domain. You might bump into public domain images also. And if you have a budget, you might venture into royalty-free images as well. Rights managed is something extremely enterprise level. I don't think you'll be bumping into rights managed kind of photos that you need to be handling for now. So we will be talking about all these images and where you can find these images and how you can go ahead and find these images. So let's find out. So where do you actually find these images? The first one and the most obvious one is Shutterstock. It is one of my favorite stock photography websites, and you can find pretty much any kind of image, which is usually stock images and royalty-free images on Shutterstock. Unfortunately though, it is a paid service. You need to pay for all the images that you download. They have on-demand payment also, where basically if you want X number of images, you just pay them and just download it. But they also have a subscription which turns out to be much cheaper than the on-demand one. So right now they're charging about $49 per month, for which you'll get about 10 images. So this is a great option if you are willing to pay for your images. This is especially useful when you're like designing a website, say for your client, or you want to like present something which is extremely professional in manner. So for a blog also, if it's like your company's blog or something like that, you might want to like spend a little bit to look at a little more professional than usual. Another great option is iStockphoto. They also have a free option along with the paid option. The free repository is not as extensive as the paid one, obviously. So if you're again willing to pay and go for stock photos, you can definitely check out iStockphoto. The way you look for photos and download them is pretty straightforward. It's just like using Google or something like that. So these 2 websites are great for royalty-free stock images, which you can use across your blog and website. This is one of my favorite websites for finding images. It's called Unsplash. Let me quickly jump into Unsplash and show you the kind of images that they have. So this is basically Unsplash, and if you look at all the images, they're absolutely beautiful images, which is basically donated, or rather the way Unsplash says it, it's gifted by photographers, which can be used. You don't even need to like attribute it to the photographer. It's good manners and etiquettes to attribute it or to the photographer when you use images always, especially if you're using free images or Creative Commons images. So even if you want to, you can always do it. So it'll in fact give you the code to attribute the photographer if you want to, once you download the images. So you can just look into different images here and like basically download any kind of image that you want. So Unsplash is a great option for you to get natural images and not just stock images. The next one is Pixabay, which is somewhere a combination between Shutterstock and Unsplash. So Pixabay is also a great option for you to go and get images for your blog. Pretty much everything about Pixabay is similar to either Shutterstock or Unsplash, so I'm just gonna go ahead with for the next option, which is Flickr. Flickr is pretty much like a cloud database of all photos wherein photographers use it to create their portfolio. And here a lot of images have different licenses, so I'm going to quickly jump into it and show you how to get Creative Commons licensed photos on Flickr. So this is how Flickr looks like, and basically like any search engine, it's got like a search bar up here. So I'm going to just look for a random image, and just to show you how this website works, so I think I'm going to look for images of, say, New York, and I click on search photos. So now it'll show me every photograph of New York that is there on Flickr. It's almost 2 million photographs just of New York. So now what I'll do is, as you can see here, there's something called as any license. So I'm going to filter it to all Creative Commons. And these are all the images that are there. Again, there are like 2 million of them. So quite a lot of images that you can use as long as you can attribute it to the photographer. So it comes in like different shapes and sizes also. And if you want to, like, you can get into more advanced stuff, and the orientation you can change. Do you want it wide? Do you want it vertical? Minimum size, different kind of sizes also. If you want it to be time sensitive, that also can be done. So again, Flickr is a great resource for looking for Creative Commons images. So don't use images which are not Creative Commons, just like use Creative Commons only. And if you tend to use copyrighted images, it has happened to me in the past. I did a mistake, and they will reach out to you. They will know. The simple reverse image search on Google will they'll get to know where all these images are being used for, and they are going to knock on your door and, like, send you an email, ask you to take it down, or they can also take legal action, to be very honest, against you for using images which are copyrighted. So use it at your own discretion, use it wisely, look for only Creative Commons images. There is a ton of photos in Creative Commons itself, so there's nothing to worry about. So let's find out what is the next option we have. So the next option we have is our best friend Google. Even in Google, you can find images which are Creative Commons, but a lot of people tend not to use this particular method because sometimes the licensing is not always correct. But this is a good place for you to start looking for images which are Creative Commons also. Let me quickly jump into Google Images to show you how this is done. So basically, I'm in Google right now, Google Images rather, and I just put in the same keyword, New York, and these are all the images that are available for me from Google. But the licensing is not here. It's every kind of license available on the internet. It is available right now here, so which we do not want. We want to filter it to just Creative Commons photographs. So you just click on Tools, you go to Usage Rights and click on Label for Reuse. So these are all the images that are available for New York. Again, like Flickr, you can choose the size also, and you can in fact specify exactly the kind of the size you are looking for your image. Again, there are different tons of filters that are available for you to play around with. So use this very carefully, because I've heard people say that the licensing is not exactly accurate all the time. Unless you're not finding it in all the other sources that I just mentioned, I think you should not be going ahead and doing it on Google. So use it very wisely and use it very carefully. Again, when you're using the image, do not forget to credit the photographer or the website where you're getting the images from. So the next one is, a lot of people might be surprised, is Instagram, but you cannot like download the image and just use it. but what you can do is you can embed the photo. So it kind of adds a very nice flavor to your blog also if you're doing something like this. This especially helps if you are a travel blogger or something like that. Basically, you look for images of a particular place and embed these photos. And obviously, Instagram has all of these filtered photos, so it looks great. And there is this using Instagram photos is quite tricky. I'll tell you why. A lot of people are of the misunderstanding that all the photos that are taken by them and put on Instagram belongs to them, but it's not actually true. The terms and conditions that you did not read on Instagram states that the copyrights and the ownership of images that are put on Instagram is owned by Instagram itself. So I would not recommend you to copy or download the images from Instagram and put it on your website, but you can definitely embed an Instagram photo on your blog. I will quickly show you how this is done. So I'm on the web version of Instagram right now, and this is how it looks. And I'll just open a public profile. So for this to work, you obviously need a public profile wherein the images are available for you to see. So this is a public profile, thankfully. So, and this page has great images. So I'll show you how you can embed it. So just click on the image that you want, and on the right bottom corner, you'll find 3 dots. Click on it, click on embed, and you will get a code. So basically you copy this code and paste it in your editor in WordPress, and you're good to go, and it will just show up. So embedding is not a problem because you're automatically crediting the user here, and it basically links back to Instagram itself. So embedding is not a problem in terms of usage or licensing for that matter. The only drawback here is that you cannot do anything with the image. You cannot edit it, you cannot modify it, you cannot do anything with it. You just have to use it as it is. So if you're okay with doing that, go ahead and use Instagram photos to embed on your blog posts. Again, this is more like a hack rather than a technique, and it might break the consistency in the way you're using images. So use it carefully. If it makes it look, if it makes your blog look weird, feel free not to use these kind of images. So that's basically all of the sources that you can source your image from and use it. So let's find out what are the tips that I have for you to use these images effectively. So now that you have found all the images from all the resources that I've shared with you, now let's find out how you can use these images effectively in your blog posts. The first one is obviously what I've mentioned already plenty of times in this video, but I just want to reiterate, you need to credit the photographer wherever you can. If it's not a photographer, if it's just a website from where you've taken the photo from, please ensure that you credit that particular website for taking the photo. This is basically etiquettes, and also you need to stay ethical whenever you're doing things like this. Like I mentioned in the past, this can bring in a lot of trouble for you if you don't follow the procedure. The second one is try to insert a very nice image above the fold. This can also be your feature image for your blog post. This is basically done to capture the attention, or rather retain the attention of the user who has landed on your blog post. So use an image right below the headline, just about wherever the content starts, and it should make it look a lot more visually appealing. In terms of the image alignment, ensure that you are consistent. It's either right aligned or left aligned or center aligned, or it can alternate between right and left and things like that. Whatever it is, may ensure that there is consistency, and also ensure that there is consistency in the size, as in the length and width and the height of the photo across your blog post, until it's absolutely necessary for you to change the width and the height of the photo. Try to keep it the same as much as possible. This will make your blog post look a lot more neater and cleaner. This is more of an SEO tip. Resize your images before uploading. Very simple way to do it. Just go to tinypng.com, upload your pics, and it'll compress the images. The size will be reduced by half or sometimes more than it, and then you download those compressed images onto your blog post, and it'll load a lot more faster, and it will make your page a lot more lighter also. All of these things help in your SEO, basically in helping in the load time, and also ensuring that the user will actually get to see the image very quickly. Also, I think we have covered this already in the past videos. Use your alt tags properly. Try to insert your keywords. Otherwise, you can just describe your image naturally. Again, this is something that we have discussed in the past. Try to rename the files appropriately. If you can, use your keywords in the file names. Otherwise, sometimes the file names can be really long and it looks ugly. So you might want to rename the file before uploading it onto your blog. So that's pretty much it for this particular video. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know what you think of this video, and let me know if you're finding any kind of difficulty in looking for images. The reason why this video is important for you is because visually reinforcing a blog post makes your users stick around a lot more, and definitely makes it a lot more appealing for your users to read and go through your blog. So go out there and see what are the different things that you can do with all the images that you find, and how you can use these images into your blog post. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.